So the other standards is evaluating the assessment for the course. And again, I'm going to use the same course and the same module for the evaluation. So what are the different assessments that you include? If you create that assessment mapping that we talked about in backward design, then meeting these standards would be very straightforward, right? Because you decide as an instructor that what are the 3 or 4 main questions that you want your students to be able to answer when they finish this course. And now how you can make sure that they are able to provide answer to that question. For example, I'm going to give them discussion boards. And there are different types of discussion boards, different purposes, and we will talk about that. And the written assignments, quiz and case studies, and then midterm and final exam. Now, if it was a higher level course or a graduate level course, I would definitely include a project. Now, the project could be individual project or it could be a group project. And then I have another criteria in mind for making sure that this assessment happens. So the variety of assessments that you have, again, they should be in alignment with the learning objective of the course in general and the unit objective. So for some units or some modules, I have discussion board, but not for all of them. For example, I usually include it for those fundamental methods that they are going to learn and use not only in this course, but then they can use that for their capstone project. And then if they, for example, want to do some research, they would be able to use that. So for those, I usually include discussion boards. Written assignments, it's every week there is a written assignment. Quizzes and case studies, they alter depending on, for example, the weeks that there is no discussion board, then I have a quiz from the lecture notes or from that specific chapter of the book. Case studies usually happen after 3-4 modules because the case studies for me are a way of like a scaffolding assignment. So I keep building on that for students, and then after 3-4 weeks, they would be able to use a combination of different material to analyze some data or to be able to solve this specific problem. The other thing for the alignment of assessment is always between the course and unit level objective, as I said. So this is just what I explained in the previous slide. And finally, the assessment, does it have alignment with the instruction material, learning activities, and the tools that you use? So if the answer is yes, then you are sure that your assessment meets the first criteria for a standard 5, which is you're sure that, okay, everything is aligned when it comes to the assessment. And then the other 2 categories are grading and policy for grading. So of course they are in our syllabus, but it's always very helpful to include that information on a Canvas page. I shared my Canvas shell with you previously, and then on that Start Here module, I usually have 1 page just for grading and explaining that, okay, this is the criteria that we use for grading, and what is the distribution of the grade, what is the determination of the final grade, and then what is the policy. For example, do I accept late assignments? If the answer is yes, you would get 40% of the grade for that, or you wouldn't get anything if I already post the solution. Or what about the other, what is the policy if in case of emergency for students? So all those kind of information, again, they would help a student to navigate through the course, and they would help the instructor to make sure that there is a good framework in place. Now, Standard 6 talks about the tools that we use in the course to support the learning objective or competencies. I thought maybe there are lots of tools to use, right? But I thought you are very expert in this field, and probably you have done this much more using all the tools that I'm not even aware of. So instead of talking about specific tools, I am going to talk about some more general strategies, and then using these strategies, you can just pick which one makes sense, but still the fundamental is the same. And if we meet this specific fundamentals, again, we are sure that not only we are supporting the learning of our students, but we are also kind of solidifying the previous standards that we talked about. Our assessment would be very more fruitful, I can say, and the alignment would be like perfect for the course. And you can look at it from how you want to engage, have these strategies for designing the course instructional material, or how you want to use them for designing the different type of assessment or using different type of tools in the course. So when it comes to engagement strategies or creative that active learning environment to improve the outcome of the course, we talk about 3 types of presence that we want to have in our course. No matter it's online or in person, they are very applied. Now, sometimes, for example, for online course, it makes sense to use more of one type. For in person, it makes sense to use of another. But always we can use a combination. So the 3 types of engagement strategies that we need to have in a standard course is a mixture of instructor presence, social presence, and cognitive presence. So instructor presence is just students know you are there, and it could be as simple as posting a video at the beginning of the semester introducing yourself. So instead of writing about who you are, you can just record a 5-minute video explaining who you are, why you are teaching this course, and then welcome students to the course. So that would be kind of encouraging the participation. So these are like different strategies under that. Or if there is like an introductory discussion board, again, you can start by writing about yourself, sharing whatever information that you feel proper, and then ask a student to go ahead and do that for them. And then when they do, provide some reply to them, and then all those kind of interactions. The other one is, for example, sometimes I put a discussion board and then students do not work on that until the last day, right? So I go ahead and post some reply, and by that I'm just trying to encourage the students that, okay, they can start answering and they should not be really afraid of, if they are the first person to comment, maybe their comment is good or bad. So just to encourage the participation. The other is the interaction that you have in your course to encourage knowledge construction and critical thinking. For example, if you have some discussion board and then you ask them to talk about some specific method for some specific, for example, application, and then they give you some answer. A way to encourage or improve your presence is to reply back to the students before the deadline and say, why do you think this is? Or how do you think it can be applied in your field of work? So ask some questions that they by thinking about that and by answering those, students are kind of encouraged to go through that critical thinking path. Interaction to monitor progress of a student is another one. If you have students that they are fallen behind, they do not attend the class for some session, you can personally email them and check with them if everything is right, why they are not showing up, or if some students' grade is lower than what you expect to be or compared to the other part of the class or other students, then another follow-up email, or maybe inviting them to meet with you or visit you and then see how we can help them with other resources. That would be a way for instructor presence. Of course, communicating feedback on performance, we always do that by posting the grade. It is very effective, especially for hybrid course or online courses, that we create some video or some audio kind of feedback. Now, it could be a general video. For example, in one assignment that I had for my students, everyone did not do very well. And I thought, okay, I want to go through this assignment. Instead of just posting the solution, I posted a recorded solution. So it was the same solution, but I just talked over that, okay, this question is this, and most of you had trouble figuring out this variable. So this is how we do it. And by creating that audio or video version of the feedback, you are improving your instructor presence in the course. And finally, interaction for encouraging self-directedness. So that would be a very good type of assessment for higher level kind of courses, especially if you have students do a project, then you would be able to give them like a step-by-step advice or step-by-step consulting to make sure that they are the one who find the solution and they are the one who can finally self-direct, and then you are there, but you're not exactly the instructor who's going to give the solution. You are the facilitator of their learning, and you just facilitate by that. For example, they come to me and they say, okay, they don't understand this topic very well. I give them some extra instructional material. Or they want to know what is the application. I give them a paper in which, for example, a real research was done and a real case study. So all those things, they can help with self-directedness of students. And of course, there are a lot of ways that you can think about it to see, okay, what kind of assessment I can have for example, self-directedness. And then it is not just improving your instructor presence, but also you are creating a better type of or a more targeted kind of assessment.